Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name's Sterling. I'm your host. So Jagmeet Singh was on Vasa Capello's show, and he was defending how his inaction on the foreign interference, explaining that it's somehow better for Canadians that he do nothing in the face of upwards of 11 sitting liberal MPs who are actively working in the interests of other countries and against the interest of the people who elected them. Somehow in his mind, he's coming out on top as a hero. Not only is he doing the right thing, but everybody should select him as the next prime minister as a result. Of course, everybody who's actually paying attention realizes that he's just talking a lot of gibberish, a lot of garbage, a lot of junk. And I want to let you hear with his own mouth how he says these things that don't make any sense. They don't add up. I mean, I get that they might in his mind be his motivation, but they certainly don't help Canadians as a whole or even individually. All right, before I get into it, I would encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this channel with your friends.
In the report, the committee said there is, quote, troubling intelligence that some parliamentarians are semi-witting or witting participants in the efforts of foreign states to interfere in our politics. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau first received the report back in March, and this week both NDP leader Jagmeet Singh and Green Party leader Elizabeth May were given access to the full document thanks to top secret security clearance. But they had very different takeaways. Have a listen.
For myself, I can say I have no worries about anyone in the House of Commons.
What they're doing is unethical. It is, in some cases, against the law, and it is indeed they are indeed traitors to the country.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, meanwhile, has been facing criticism for refusing to get his security clearance to read the classified report. Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet initially rejected the offer, but has since agreed to receive the briefing.
I don't know about you, but I think this is probably the fourth or fifth time that the Liberal parties have tried to get Pierre Poilievre to take his security clearance so that they can silence and muzzle and censor him in the House of Commons and limit what he has to say. Now he can say whatever he wants, anytime he wants. He can put any information that comes his way forward. He can do whatever he wants without having the parliamentary censors telling him that what he's saying is somehow... Like, I just love how they say, well, it's in the interest of national security, while these people that are going against the interests of national security sit quietly. I mean, that'll give you an idea of how diplomacy really works. Also, should we really be considering the member of the Bloc as part of the... Isn't he by his very party's premise against Canada? I mean, should we be thinking that perhaps the entire Bloc Québécois caucus and sitting members are active foreign agents? Something to think about, though.
I came into reading that report with the lens of there are some very serious, like you said, bombshell elements that the report put forward. I wanted to know if I read the unredacted version, would it confirm those conclusions or would it in any way change the result of those conclusions? What I read absolutely bolsters the conclusion, and it makes me even more alarmed than before. The conclusions that were drawn by the report are that there were serious examples where parliamentarians engaged in activity that undermined our country. And it was summarized as some of it is illegal and all of it was unethical.
Are you aware of who those alleged parliamentarians are? And are you bound, because of the rules associated with your top security clearance, not to talk about that?
I can't touch on the names, but there are certainly some names that are provided in the unredacted version.
Are there people currently now that you are worried about acting in the interest of a foreign actor against our national interests, currently serving alongside you in the Parliament of Canada?
Well, the publicly available report expresses concerns that are not resolved. That should leave people with a sense that this is unresolved and has to be addressed. And so I maintain that position. This is not something that's resolved. It is something that has to be dealt with, and I take it with the utmost seriousness.
It sounds to me, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, you agree with the conclusion of the report, not Ms. May.
That's right. That's right. I think that's a really good way to put it, and all the information that went into the writing of the report. But the conclusion that was drawn was something that left people feeling really worried and disturbed. I'm saying that I was even more disturbed having read more of the details of what's in there.
So you're more disturbed now that you've read all of the details. You don't think that it's right that Canadians should be having parliamentarians that are under the influence of foreign actors inside the House of Commons and taking and voting and casting votes on all sorts of different legislative documents, all sorts of decisions that are running the entire country. Okay, so Jagmeet Singh says that he admits it, that there are elements that are working for foreign governments inside of the government of Canada, inside the House of Commons, casting votes, giving opinions, making statements, all the while operating at the best interests of other countries that in many cases do not side with Canada in their overall policies. You would think then at that point that he's going to do something about it, not put his own self-interest ahead of the interest of Canadians. But you would be astounded to hear what he has to say. And the bizarre way that his logic works, I mean, you can't even really keep track of it. It basically, well, you'll hear it.
Your impression now is that the Prime Minister is essentially okay with a level of foreign interference occurring in this country. That's a pretty serious thing to say. At the same time, you have endorsed his government. You're keeping Mr. Trudeau in power as Prime Minister. Doesn't that make you complicit?
Not at all. And there are certain incidents that should absolutely call in anyone who cares about our country to put our country first.
But you appear unwilling to do anything to change that agreement, even when you accuse the Prime Minister, whom you're keeping in power, of being okay with a level of foreign interference in our own country's political system.
He's accepting a certain level of foreign interference.
And so are you, right? There's no argument. You are accepting that level of foreign interference. Just as long as you support the Liberal government, you are absolutely supporting the foreign interference that his government is bringing into the House of Commons. If somebody commits a crime and then, like, I find out about that crime and I don't say anything about it, I am also liable in that crime. There's all kinds of different legal terms for it. They'll say conspiracy, they'll call it after the fact. There's different versions of it, but it is absolutely an enshrined concept in law. When somebody is doing something wrong and you know about it and you don't say anything about it, you don't lift a finger to stop it, you are absolutely 100% as guilty as that person. You are 100% complicit in the action of that crime, in the execution of that crime. That crime stains you just as much as it stains the person that you know about doing it. And as a lawyer, Jagmeet Singh knows that, he's aware of that, but he's just hoping that he can throw shade on Justin Trudeau and none of it's going to stick to him. I think when you lie down with dogs, you're going to wake up with fleas. And despite the fact that he doesn't seem to be scratching, he's coated from head to toe in the fleas. There's no other logic stream to follow. You know that there are problems and you know you are the only one stopping this country from removing the problems from the House of Commons. And you want to tell yourself that you're not complicit? You want to try and make me believe that you're not complicit? I don't believe that for 1 second. And Canadians don't believe that either. Canadians realize that you're only out for your own self-interest. So in the end, how can we take Jagmeet Singh seriously at all? He clearly is only out for his own self-interest. He's clearly only doing it for himself and his kids and all of that kind of stuff. He simply wants to suckle at the teat of the Canadian taxpayer for as long as possible. And he doesn't care what Justin Trudeau does. And he doesn't even want to admit to himself that every time and everything that the Liberals do that is corrupt, everything that they do that is illegal, because he is the one keeping them in power, he is just as responsible for those actions as if he were in the room making the decisions himself. All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank y'all for listening. I'll talk to you next time.